Yeah.
Let's say you sort of touched on it a little bit. I do want to give a shout out to your husband, Digvijay, right? Especially, I was reading a lot of impressive things about him. COVID ko belama. I want to keep the focus on you. That I do want you to share a little bit. I'm sure as a wife and partner, you've done a lot in terms of all the work that sort of gained media attention and everything. Can you share a little about that?
Yeah, absolutely. My husband Digvijay Mahat is a cancer research scientist at MIT at Koch Institute of Cancer Research, and he's the final student of this Nobel laureate Phil Sharp. I think your hard work ideas. I think it also came from my husband. I think he really exacerbated that idea of like, if you want to achieve something, you have to work hard. And I think he doesn't realize this, but I see it like every day, how dedicated he is and how driven he is in his science, all right, which I understand nothing of. And I'm really glad, like, he understands some parts of my world, but I don't understand any part of his world. So he was born and raised in Tanahu in this village, about 20 kilometers, like inside, like Kathmandu. He went to about 10 schools till 9th grade because he would top any school. I mean, he wouldn't study. He would just top one school and his dad would be like, okay, we find another one. And then he would just like move around. And he did his, he came to US right around the time I did. He did his undergrad in Towson University, which is like nobody's heard of in Baltimore, right? And then he really worked his way up and was always interested in science. And did this internship at a lab in Baltimore and the University of Maryland lab. That sort of got him into a really good fellowship and a position at Cornell, which is sort of where we met. And then I went to Cornell. And now he's at MIT and he's finishing up, like he's in his 7th year of postdoc. So like PhD, we've been married 10 years. He's always been the research scientist, right? Like, always been.
When he actually finally graduates from this, it will be like an incredible celebration, right?
I think he's gonna have something else that he's gonna work on, and it's just going to be this never-ending cycle. As a scientist's wife, as a postdoc's wife, I've made peace with the fact that my husband is always going to have all of this body of work that he has to do.
Right.
So I'm just saying, like one of the things that my husband and I are both very passionate about. Obviously, our country, our work, and we've established sort of some businesses in Nepal that business the oina, but like hamro lab saw that what we are trying to do is, so Nepalko alikiti the little bit knowledge I have about Nepalko cancer sector ko chai ke cha bhane Nepalma harek cancer test has to be sent to India, or if it's high level, go to Hong Kong, and we are trying to do is to change that. And it's not like rocket science, get the cancer test. All you need is equipments and a lab, and you need reagents. You need access to companies who make these big, technology. So one of the things that we did to COVID was usko MIT ko ekjana professor Robert Langer bhaniन्छ. He's a very well celebrated professor. He actually, one of the professors actually founded Moderna. So the founder of Moderna, the professor who founded, I forgot the name of his, like, I'm not in that field, so I don't remember. But Phil, who I also have a very good personal relationship with. So Phil introduced us to Moderna because we were trying to get vaccines to Nepal. Right. And the other thing that we did was through CRISPR-based COVID technology, was developed by an MIT professor, and then was run by this like biotech startup here. And so we were like, CRISPR-based technology, perfect, doesn't need PCR, it'll be perfect for Nepal. So we, through Phil's connections, we navigated that. We took CRISPR-based technology, tested it in Nepal. We got a $200,000 grants from Gates Foundation and Open Society Foundation. Right. Sorry, I forgot the name of this organization, but we got a $200,000 grant to take this technology to Nepal. And we did. Mm-hmm. It was December of 2020. So we traveled there during COVID. set up the public lab Mangoira. We set up all the equipments. We had somebody from Sherlock Biosciences actually is the company that we work with. So Sherlock, they had sent their people to help us set up the machines and all that. So unfortunately, though, when my husband was there, the technology worked. When my husband left, there was someone, postdoc from Japan, who was trying to get this technology going, could not get it done. But when so that didn't really take off. But one of the things that we realized is the dearth of technology in cancer sector. In the, we were invited by the president, Vidya Bhandari, at that time, and I remember her saying that, like, oh yeah, मलाई cancer हुँदा पनि मेरो sample anonymized गरेर India पठाएको थियो. So like basically all of this is happening, and we live in a country where patient privacy is important, data is important. Nepalma, we don't think about it that. Actually, I was having this conversation with my colleague in Mozilla. Data भनेको, it comes from a place of privilege, okay? Because we understand what data is, and that's why we say, oh, data is important, this is important. But हाम्रो Nepali context, like everybody's using TikTok, like everybody, is giving their samples.
Yeah, it's also like data gives you a lot of access and all of it, so that you don't understand the price you're going to pay for it eventually. Okay? And the fact that data is powerful, whenever people don't understand it at this.
So let's say, we're trying to establish a lab where, so Nepalमा के हुन्छ भने क्यान्सर, अब मलाई क्यान्सर लागेछ भने मेरो स्याम्पल मैले ल्याबमा म जान्छु ल्याबमा, त्यो ल्याबमा एकजना, there's an Indian sort of a salesperson, sort of so the doctor gets, so if my sample gets sent to a particular lab in India, a percentage is doctor, a percentage is sent to the middleman who takes my sample to, so, and all of this cost is on the patient, okay? So there's this like whole intricate thing going on, and that's what we want to work on next. And my husband is actually working with Nepali, the head of cancer hospital in Nepal. So we're working on establishing this facility where most of the cancer test does not have to go outside of the country. And Nepalma, one of the things is that things move very slowly. Policy ल्याउनलाई गाह्रो छ, and one of the things that we really advocated for is यो एजेन्ट्सहरू, क्यान्सरको रिएजेन्ट्सहरू जुन टेस्टको लागि इम्पोर्टेन्ट छ, त्यो ल्याउँदाखेरि भ्याट नलगाऊ.
No, I've been there in terms of how hard it is just to get, like, even in terms of, even with good reasoning, it's so tough, right?
Yeah, and then just the logistic issue, okay, त्यो iceमा ship गर्नुपर्ने, we just couldn't do it. And then like Nepalको airportमा fridges, so there was just this whole logistical nightmare. But eventually, our goal is to have because of our access to big, biotech companies, we want to take all of this technology to Nepal. That's our goal. So, we also connected with actually, what was that vaccine? The Johnson & Johnson vaccine. So I remember talking to Phil, and then Phil connecting us to somebody head of Johnson & Johnson, and then I was talking to the CEO, and then my husband was, so all of this like kind of to this, and they all sent us to India. And then I remember having a conversation with the Nepali Health Ministry, my husband and me, and then Johnson representatives in India. And somehow, after that conversation, we were able to get some vaccines in Johnson. But I also don't want to take credit for that, because there was a lot of things that had to align.
Sometimes they just, even being in that around that table and just pushing the the issue matters so much. So thank you, Tinita, Vijay, both. I think there's so much that that went behind the scenes. So I love that.